Hi, everybody. It's Michelle Jackson. I am here with an amazing group of authors, and these are authors that will be at the Black Ink Book Festival in New Orleans, taking place on Saturday, January the 28th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at City Park. We are so excited. This is our first live book fair. We've done four virtual book fairs. They were all very successful, but this is our first live one, and I'm so excited. So, what we're doing is we have a group of authors who will be with us throughout the evening to talk about their work, and then you will have an opportunity to meet them on Saturday, January 28th at City Park in New Orleans. This is a free event, and not only will you get an opportunity to meet them, but you will get an opportunity to hear some of them read their work. You're going to get an opportunity to meet our featured authors, and they are all best-selling authors that live right here in New Orleans. You will also get an opportunity to connect with and to experience the Zulu Tramps and a host of other things. We're going to have a live DJ. We're going to have a whole bunch of fun. So right now, let's get our team on the screen so you can get to know them and you can buy their books. So as we speak, we ask that you find them online and purchase their books now, then come out to the book fair, purchase another book. I know, right? That's crazy. And get those books signed. If you can't purchase tonight, you come out to that book fair and you do just that, purchase books from our authors. And if you see on the screen, we have a QR code. You can hit that code and you can register for the event. And if you register early, you will be qualified to win one of our custom book boxes. And if you are one of the first 100 to attend, you will also get a free tote. Let's get started. Hello, author Ty. Hi, Cassie.
Casey. It's Casey.
Casey. Hi,
Yes.
Bernard.
Hey,
And we have our author, our coach Ty. So we have author Ty, and then we have coach Ty. So if you get them confused, just look at the name at the bottom of the screen. So I'm Michelle Jackson. I am the founder of the Black Writers Workspace. I am also the founder of direct2author.com, which is an online book marketplace. You can upload your books for free on direct2author.com. It is designed so that our independent authors will have a platform where people can find their work. We are, yes, trying to fight a little bit with Amazon. We're not sure we're going to win that fight, but we're always trying to find ways to help our independent authors. And we know that when you post on some of these larger platforms, it gets lost. Your books get lost in the sauce. So that's why we developed Direct to Author. I am also the host of the Black Ink Book Fair here in New Orleans, and we have some of our authors here. They're going to talk to us about their books. We have Michelle Knight. Oh, I'm sorry, she's not with us. She's going to chime in a little bit later. We have Bernard Sims. We have Casey Brandon, and we have Coach Ty, and we have Ty Solvin. And they're going to talk a little bit about their work. We're going to start first by getting to know them and learning a little bit about their work. So, author Ty, do you want to get us started?
I would love to. My name's Ty Selvant. I'm a homeschooling mom of 6 who has written 2 books so far. My first is A Mother's Reflection, which is a guided journal to help moms not lose themselves in the roles that we play. So there's a piece that walks you through your relationship with your mom, who you are as a mom, if you are being the mom you want to be, if not, why not? And a huge focus on self-care, because we are modeling for our children how to be, right? So we are teaching our daughters what their life will look like in the future, and our sons what to expect from their future spouses. So we need to make sure that we are modeling healthy relationships and healthy love and respect for ourselves for our children. Then at the end of that book, you check in weekly with the same 3 questions. How did I win? Because as moms, we focus far too often on the mistake that we made. What's one thing I can work on? Because there's always room for improvement, but we can only pick one at a time. And the third question is, how did I love myself? Because we need reminders. That book was published in 2001. This year, or actually in December of last year, I published my first children's book called The Alphabet of You, which is a positive vocabulary book created to remind parents how we should be speaking to our children, but also to show our children all of the amazing adjectives that they are. So the book is filled with the large words, the definition, pictures of children depicting those words, and the ASL alphabet, so we can normalize teaching our kids the ASL alphabet when we teach them their ABCs.
Excellent. I love that. I love everything that you're doing. First, you're from New Orleans, from the New Orleans area. That's correct. You're going to be here for the book fair. To have a book talking about homeschooling after we've all come out of COVID, when we were all forced to homeschool, and many of us had a really tough time making that happen. What type of response have you received from the readers about your book?
So the response has been great. From both books. So from the Mother's Journal, some responses were, "This is the book I wish I would have had when I started being a mom," or "This helped me understand my mom so much better and helped our relationship." When writing that book, I realized that we're the mothers of adults far longer than we're the mothers of children, but we just don't see it that way. We think about it like when they're in our house, right? So one of my big pieces with that is making sure that we're parenting in a way that our children come home when they don't have to. And with the children's book, the response has been, one of my favorites is there's a picture of a little boy standing on one of his toys with the word intrepid. And his mom said, I never used that word when he did something like that, but I will from now on. Right. So it helps us to see the positive in our children, and we're teaching them some great, robust vocabulary, because with kids, we have to define every word anyway. So we can use intrepid instead of bad or dangerous or fearless, and teach them a new word while encouraging and inspiring them to be who they are.
Love that. Absolutely love it. And that is so true. We are the parents of adults longer than the parents of children. I never thought about that. That's pretty deep. Please, definitely everyone come out to meet Ty at the Black Ink Book Fair. I am looking forward to connecting with you at that event. Ms. Brandon, talk to us about yourself and your book.
Hi, I'm Casey Brandon. I am a native of New Orleans as well, a mother of one, and I am the owner of a boutique agency by the name of Brand Pro Agency. And my company specializes in media buying, marketing, and branding for small businesses. And now I'm adding my book to the services and products that I provide. My book entails, it's about 15 chapters of the key elements to being a productive entrepreneur. But what I'm noticing, feedback from people, is that my book is not just, even though it was written for people aspiring to own their own business or in fact already in business, but I'm noticing that people in general who need motivation, need ideas of how to stay focused, and things of that nature, they enjoy it too. So I figured that it's really for everyone. I'm not going to box myself in.
It's your time. I love that. Motivational guide for business owners and entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. Give us one tip that you put in your book that you are absolutely positively sure is going to help us grow as professionals and grow in our personal life.
The one thing that always stands at top of mind is being intentional with your decision making in all that you do. When you're intentional, I think the purpose part comes and everything else comes along with it. But it all starts on what you're intending to do, as it relates to your business or even in life. Yes, my book includes scriptures for each chapter, as well as affirmations. So each chapter it's a short read. So each chapter is I give like the first chapter is motivation, and I actually give the definition of it along with the scripture for you to go back and read for those who are in love with the Lord, and also some tips and affirmation at the end to basically affirm and reassure yourself of what you're talking about.
Excellent. So happy to have you. Happy to know that you're going to be at the book fair. Looking forward to meet you.
So excited. So
And
excited.
we all need to get together here in New Orleans. I mean, we're right here and we're writing. So we after the book fair, we all need to plan to have brunch or lunch and just start
I
to
am
connect.
so down for that. I really, really, truly am. And I appreciate the opportunity. I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Coach Ty, introduce yourself. Love that name. Love any coach.
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, I'm actually an author of different publications. I came on with Cagebird Publishing, and they just actually embraced me as a writer. Honestly, this was a opportunity for me to just dive into another gift that I didn't really know that I had. It was about telling a story, not just about me, but giving people the opportunity to look at me from a bird's eye view in an anthology. That's where we started. So she came on because I am a coach. I actually not only do relationships, but I also do personal and professional development training for corporate offices, educational facilities, as well as small businesses. So I come in and I try to assist them where they may have challenges or concerns, or where they feel they may need growth. So that could be in any area. That could be in morale, retention, leadership, or either just, development, personal and professional within the workspace. I also have a radio show called Tough Talk Today, and that kind of, hones in on helping me write literature that's going to give my readers something more in tune to talk about, especially the things that they don't, they feel are taboo. So it may be something that they feel, hey, I don't want to touch on relationship. I don't want to touch on religion. I don't want to touch on the LGBT community. I don't want to touch on finances. So, so many opportunities we have on the radio show. It just gives us another platform to talk about things that people are afraid to, kind of speak to, I guess, in concern of being ridiculed, criticized, or even put down for their opinion about things and views that they hold dear and close to them. So definitely I'll be there presenting not only War Wounds on the Battlefield of Love, which is a relationship book about love life and a relationship. And it kind of dives into men and women perspective concerning, one, being whole, loving yourself, and coming into a relationship that you may feel is not for you, and having the opportunity to understand the power of no. You have to have and set boundaries for yourself. And when you don't do that, it sets you up for an epic fail going forward and dealing with individuals that may not be for you. It also taps into women who may be on the independent side, and they feel, because I am so independent, I'm scaring men away, or men are intimidated by what it is that I present, or I feel like I've had an opportunity to grow into. So it taps into that, letting women know, hey, I don't want you to be in fear of your independence. However, you need to consider what your independence may be doing. Is it pushing away, or is it drawing them in? So just having an opportunity to think about the things that you're saying and displaying in relationship when it comes to that. And it is a short read as well. It's like 45 minutes. There's only 7 chapters. And in the last chapter, it's called He Said, She Said. So in the last chapter, there were a series of questions that people had an opportunity to write into me and ask me about. And myself and Tony Branch, who was a co-author of this particular book, he and I both had our own perspectives about some of those questions that were asked. And a lot of times women need to hear it from a man's perspective, and then men need to hear it from a woman's perspective. There were some things that we were able to come together on, and then there were some things that we kind of begged to differ on. However, the common goal was to have an opportunity for everyone who had a thought process about love, life, and relationships to have an opportunity to speak to it, because those persons do exist. So I'm excited about coming to the book fair. I'm excited about meeting you, Ms. Jackson, and I thank you so much for putting this together. This is going to be amazing.
Well, you're going to be one of about 65 authors that will be at the event. And I'm so excited about that because this is, like I said, our first live event. And when I started planning it, I picked a beautiful venue, but I was like, I've never done this before. I'm not sure how many people are really going to come out. And I mean, we sold out probably in about 2 months almost. I mean, it really sold out really fast. So thank you so much for being a part of this event. I'm not going to move forward without asking you a relationship question. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because first of all, I saw Bernard's face while you were speaking. He was kind of like, she talking about independent women. I can't even say that. Like, you can't even say that. Because my husband and I have a constant conversation about this idea of independence. What are you finding? Are women really feeling like they need to put their stake in the ground and declare independence in order to feel strong? Or is it this idea of independence more about, I'm forced to be independent, so I need to be independent? I mean, what are you finding is the case when it comes to independence and women in masses, like not just a few, but most women that you're connecting with or female readers? What are you hearing?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. And it's a very great question, good question, awesome question, because I do hear that a lot. I feel that women who are independent, it is by force, not by choice. I don't think any woman out here wants to be completely and totally independent and, depend on who they are and the gifts that they hold and the professions that they deal with to be their only drive. I think they love and desire relationship. They want to have it. However, sometimes they get stuck when it comes to the independence. Most women in this day and time, they are doing it by themselves. And so once a relationship is approached and they hone in on that, it's almost like, hey, you're taking something away from me that I've built on my own. I don't really need you. And I'm trying to bring women away from that, that particular phrase, because that in itself can declare them and speak, life into anything. As I tell them, that's going to deter you from having relationship. It's not that men are really, as some say, are scared of those types of relationship, or women. It's just they're now being pushed back because they're feeling as if they're going to be emasculated if approached by a woman who holds an independent status. And that's not the case at all. I think if women would be more submissive if men were able to treat them right, respect who they are in the space that they're in concerning their independence, and then also do what's necessary in the relationship so that they can take away some of that independence that they've held on to for so long, and just fulfill the need that they see that a woman has. To me, that's really what it's about. And if they're having that conversation and that they're communicating effectively, then a man will not feel emasculated. He will not feel that his alpha is being challenged, and she'll feel comfortable and confident in the relationship, knowing that she is still respected as a boss. However, she does not have to lay it all out there to feel as if she's still holding on to the vine. She can let go because someone is just as strong as her, there to help and guide and lead her in the directions, as well as build and help her succeed in what it is that she's trying to achieve.
Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm going to definitely come to your booth. I've been married 20 years last year, so
excellent.
Yeah, but
and this book is
conversation all the time with my husband. And
the book is dedicated to married couples.
Absolutely, absolutely. And being forced into independence is what I always say to him. Women are being forced to be independent. And he sometimes said, no, there are women who want to be very independent. I'm like, yes, sure, that's true. But I think the masses, the majority of women feel like they have to be independent in many ways. So this is excellent. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation and a part of the event. Bernard the Barber, introduce yourself. Tell us about your work.
First, I have to thank you for allowing me to be part of this esteemed panel. I'm learning a lot already because as barbers, our superpower is listening. You know, barbers can't be successful in this business by cutting people hair the way that we want to cut it. First, we have to listen first. So I just find it just an honor to be here to listen to such enlightened minds and to learn. And I have an X chromosome and a Y chromosome sometimes, you know, so I know that when the XX chromosome is speaking, we need to listen more than we need to talk. So I'm learning a lot already. And as I'm Bernard the barber, I've been a barber in my small town rural community for nearly 40 years. And what I've learned is from an African culture, the wisest people in the village are usually the ones who spend the most time listening to the wisdom of the elders. And so I start using Bernard the barber as my pen name to write from that perspective. And I started writing out of necessity, as we were talking earlier, like during the pandemic, didn't have anything else to do, couldn't go to work because our business was shut down. And I was getting in my children's way, trying to help them with homeschooling. You know, I'm still carrying the one, and they grouping larger numbers first. So I was getting in the way. So, and I've also been an activist in my community through the NAACP for years. And so what I started writing from the perspective was, like, in small towns, we kind of limit ourselves to the lines of the city limit. We accept our small town realities as we normalize things that are not normal. Like, I'm from down the road from where Ahmaud Arbery was run down by three vigilantes. And, you know, outside of our little rural area, people were like, I can't believe this is still happening. But in our rural area, we were like, I can't believe somebody finally got arrested. And so when writing from that perspective and that frustration, I felt like we needed to amplify our voices in these rural towns and try to connect ourselves with the rest of the world so that our voices can be heard. Now, I'm in between Atlanta and Athens, and sometimes in small towns we give up hope because we don't think that we're part of the larger fabric of society. But I learned from my grandma taking small pieces of irrelevant fabric and sewing it into a larger blanket to keep us warm through the winter. We have to amplify our voices to understand that we are part of the larger conversations that need to happen in this world, in rural America. And that's why I wrote The Southern Awakening, a Black Man's Guide to Liberating the Rural South from that perspective.
I think Bernard is being very humble and kind. He is an amazing story to tell. He's done some fantastic things working with NAACP, correct? As
Yes.
well as the U.S. American Chess Association. You've done some great things, and I'm looking forward to finally meeting you face to face. He's been a part of Pen Posse, which is it's a 2-hour kind of roundtable discussion that we'll have periodically on the Black Writers Workspace, and I do invite all of you to be a part of it. We've learned a lot about his work. He's really trying to tackle racism and pushing for anti-racism, which was a term I'd never heard before until I met you. So congratulations, and I'm happy you're going to be a part of the event. We do have Michelle Knight with us. So Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself? Open up your mic.
I needed to unmute myself. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
My name is Author Michelle Knight. Pleasure meeting all you kings and queens. I am originally from New Orleans as well. I'm a NOLA girl, Saints fan as well. Don't boo me. I am originally from New Orleans. I currently live in Virginia. We just moved to Virginia actually, and I am absolutely loving it. Although I do miss my NOLA. I do miss my NOLA. I started writing about 3 years ago. And my daughter is an author as well. She started writing when she was 12. So she has 2 books as well. Her books is called Reasons I Don't Like Being the Baby. And she also has a journal for kids called Tell Me the Tea Gratitude Journal to help kids with depression and to alleviate them wanting to commit suicide. So my two books that I have, one which is Shh, Don't Tell. This book was presented because there were so many kids that was being raped and molested. I didn't tell my parents that I was raped until I was in my 40s. And the people that, when I first wrote a book, I wrote the book without illustrations. A lot of people were not receptive of the book. I found many people who didn't like the book were people who were victims themselves. You know, back in the day, it was the hush hush, you can't tell, or they couldn't possibly have done that to you. Girl, be quiet. Don't tell your G-ma, your grandmother, stuff like that. So what I did, I put a twist on it. So I created this one with a beautiful illustration of a Black girl, because most of the books you see have illustrations of Caucasians, as though it only happens in the Caucasian society. Well, it happens more predominantly up in our society. It's just not talked about in our society because of the way our culture is. It's hush hush. And so many people don't like to talk about the conversation. So what I did was I utilized the book that I initially created and made it a parent copy. It's without illustrations. And then this one has beautiful illustrations in the inside to allow the kids to be able to not only be able to visualize the story as, to visualize the story as they read the book, but to also allow the parents to be able to read the book along with their children or read before their children. So if their children have questions, they know they can answer the questions, or they can read it together and have that bonding moment with their children. More people were more receptive because they were able to have both books in hand, so they can read along with their children. This is one of my best sellers because a lot of people didn't know how to make not such a hard conversation a little bit more gentle. And I was happy that I was able to bring that to the table. My daughter, which was 12 at the time, she first read the book and she absolutely loved it. So it's her favorite book out of all of my books as well. My second book was Kirby the Cow. A lot of people didn't like this book initially until they understood the concept behind it. I'm sorry, I stutter a little. Concept behind the book. Most people talk about animals inside of a book. This book was created during Autism Month. The message behind the book: we can't choose how we come out of our mother's wombs. However, we are uniquely, perfectly, imperfectly created. So no matter how we come out, we all have a special gift within inside of us. That's our superpower. I know I'm different. Everybody on this panel is different. We're different in some form or fashion. I mean, some people want long hair, we have short hair. Some people are a little bit darker than we want to be. Some are a little bit lighter. My daughter calls herself light bright, and she hates that people see her because we're a little browner than she is. Some people have to wear glasses. I initially hated that I wore glasses, but that's my superpower. I can see some things some people can't, like the extra dirt that the kids leave behind. And they're talking about, what dirt? Girl, you better put your head down there and see that dirt, all that hair and stuff around that toilet. You better, I got my glasses on, I can see. So we're all created uniquely and deserving by God. I have some cousins who are autistic, and so it brings out the beauty in them. So a lot of kids really love the power of this book because it tells them, you know, with Kirby, Kirby is the cow in the book, and he didn't choose how he came out. You would never see a purple and white cow. And so Kirby at first was upset that he came out as a purple and white cow, while everybody else is the regular brown or the white cow. He's purple and white, but he also has another superpower. And so not giving you the story because you have to read the book, you have to purchase it, but he has a uniqueness. So and all my books focus on us. I just want to bring that out there because there's not enough books of us on our platform. So all of my books are created with the focus of us. But this one also, even with the farm animals, I wanted to make sure we were included inside of the book. So the farmers, of course, are African American. But even though Kirby is purple and white, his owner took him to a contest, and the contest awarded him first place because of that extra superpower that the animals on the farm were making fun of him about. And so now they're like, I want to be different too. Hold on, wait a minute. Different is not so bad. You're right. I want to be different. And so because he was so different, everybody else wanted to be different too. They wanted to identify their superpower. And so that just made it even more special. So with that being said, I went even further, and I want to show you guys. I am currently trademarking, so you guys are the first to see my new Kirby.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Congratulations.
And it says, it's okay to be different.
Are you going to have those at the book fair?
Actually, this is the first because I wanted to see how they're coming out. It will be set up at the table. And I just want to see what other people, get to read on other people. But I am going to get them made in bulk and sell them on my website because I think it'll be, and I also have Kirby mugs because the kids love the cup with the hearts on it that says it's okay to be different. So I'll have mugs and I'll have this on the table, and I'll be accepting orders for these as well.
Excellent. I love that. I love everything that everyone is doing. And what I love so much is that we're all talking about tough issues, but we're doing it in such a beautiful way. And we're using our words therapeutically to heal ourselves, to heal our communities. And that's what we should be doing as writers. See, it bothers me so much that there are just too many people in the world who don't get a chance to see what I see when it comes to writers. I'm seeing all these beautiful Black faces who are writing great books that are positive. Okay, there's this idea that everything has to have so much trauma. Well, trauma is a part of life, but it's being able to overcome these hard times and being willing to put it on paper. And so congratulations to all of you for what you've done. There are a lot of children's books at the book fair. I was very impressed with the number of children's books. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a great event. And so, and young adult, Coach Ty, my book is for young adults as well. Great area. And I love that as well. So thank you all for being here. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your publishing, but just one or two of you, if you like to talk about your experience publishing. I think all of us are self-published authors. Is that correct? Not everyone?
The struggle was real. That's all I can say. When I tell you, it was real. Let me tell you that I would be writing a book. That was my first thing. I'm a veteran. I'm an Army veteran. My husband's a veteran. So we're both retired. And so God actually woke me up out my sleep. And when I tell people this story, they just laugh at me. He woke me up out my sleep like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the first night he woke me up and I said, God, I am sleeping. He was like, get up. And I was like, no, I'm in a good sleep. I'm like, no. And so the second night he was like, get up. I need you to write something. And I'm like, God, I am asleep. It is like 2 o'clock in the morning. This is me talking to him. Like, no, I'm asleep. And he said, okay, you're not going to sleep good tonight. And I'm like, oh, Lord. And so the third night he was like, look, you can get up and write this and have the best sleep of your life, or I'm going to keep you up for the rest of the night. So I was like, okay, you win. And so I got up. It was 3 o'clock. My husband was like, what are you doing? I'm writing what the Lord told me to write. And it took all of like 20 minutes to write it. I didn't even know what I was writing. I wrote it. And then I slept like, my husband said I was so loud from snoring. He said it was like I hadn't slept in months. And so when I got up and finally read what I wrote, it was a book called God don't make junk. And so in my Instagram, that next day, it was a publisher, and I had never seen a publisher in my Instagram before, ever. And so that was my first birthing of a book, but that was also my first teaching, my first mistake, my first foot in the water, because that one you guys probably will never see. I mean, it went out there, but it was my teaching. It was me learning how to do illustrators. It was me learning, don't trust the publisher. It was me learning the whole process of doing this. And after that book, I had to dig in deep because I lost a lot of money, time, and effort. And I say, okay, God, this is what you want me to do. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm redoing that book the proper way and under my name, because I got messed over with illustrations and everything. And so,
Okay, we're gonna yeah, that's great. I think that is that's exactly what I wanted to pause at, because that's exactly what I think everybody has kind of had that experience of
mhm,
writing and not getting it right the first
mhm,
time. I did the same
mhm,
thing, invested money. Book
mhm,
went out, beautiful book. I have no
mhm,
issues with that, but I have no rights. I mean, I have rights to it, but I have no control over the
mhm,
market. So that is exactly the experience that a lot of us self-published authors are having. And Michelle, thank you so much for sharing that with us, because that's exactly where I wanted to go with this, is that for those who are out there who are looking at the screen, who wants to write a book, but who's thinking they can't do it, know that it is not a perfect process. Okay. It
mhm,
is not easy all the time. And many of us go the self published route. Some of us choose it, some of us have no choice. But just because we're self published doesn't mean that the work is not good or great. And it doesn't mean that we didn't put our heart into it and didn't make the right investments. So I'm really happy to hear your story, Michelle. I think it's something that we all can kind of, pieces of it we can pull from it. Anybody else want to talk a little bit, because we've got to go. Ty, you want to chime in, and then Casey, you can go after her. Okay. Mhm.
Sure. So I'll share briefly when I first decided to write. I ended up doing a lot of research. I called and like put out feelers for authors that I knew, picked their brain and figured out and asked, what worked, what didn't, what mistakes did you make, what would you have done differently, and just gathered a lot of research on the front end. So I didn't make some of those mistakes myself. One of the biggest pieces of advice was that most people think that once you write the book, it's done. But
Mhm.
that's actually just the beginning. It's like having a baby, right? Once you have that baby, you have to raise that baby. So once you have that book, you have to market that book. The work isn't done once it's complete. So that was very eye-opening, and I think very helpful for me as a new author to have in mind as I was working to get this book out there. And then looking at pros and cons of being self-published or going with a publisher, and reading that, some people who went with publishers are making $1 or $2 per book off of their books and still having to do all of the work. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Let's look at
Absolutely.
that. So those are definitely some tips for people out there who are considering.
Great. Miss Brandon, you want to chime in?
Yes, well, actually had the opposite experience with publishing my book. I had during the COVID, I started doing what's called Motivation Mondays, where I would give tips to whoever was following me that owned their own business. And I was like, you know what, I really want to turn this into a book, but I didn't know how. And I knew I needed help with, I guess, like the meat and potatoes of it. I had the ideas, but to really structure it. So I did some research. I had one of my assistants to do some research for a writing coach and a publishing company. And she found one. They're based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they're Black owned, and it's owned by a Black woman. So I kind of interviewed a few, and I went with them. They're called Mask Off Publishing, and they are really, really good, and they're very patient. They helped me with the entire process with my ISBN number, setting me up so that I can be basically sold nationwide or globally in a matter of a few months. I'm on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, even Walmart.com. So all of that was done with their assistance. And it was a struggle in the beginning because I think it's intimidating starting out, as a writer. And this is my first book. I hope to write more. So it was definitely a struggle in the beginning, but they definitely made my experience a much better one. So I don't really have a not so good story about it, but it all worked itself out, obviously.
Yeah. That's excellent. That's excellent. All come to this. I published my first book in 2010. I knew nothing. I literally got an editor. They added a bunch of comma splices. I had to go back and undo it all. But love my book. Excellent book. And the company I went with, I used a vanity publisher. Had good and bad, but the second and third books I published 100% myself, of course, with professional editors, book cover designers. I believe in editing. I want to just stress that, making sure that everyone will invest in that. But it was just a wonderful experience. I'm so happy to have you all here. I look forward to seeing you Saturday, January 28th. We will be in City Park. If you've ever been to City Park, it's really beautiful out there. Hopefully the weather will be excellent. It has been over the last couple of days, rather warm for January. And so we're going to have a lot going on. But also on Friday night, I hope everyone is registered. We will be going to Baldwin & Co., which is a Black-owned book company, a bookstore here. And they also own the NOLA Art Bar. So we're going to be out there just mixing and mingling with readers. So we're going to have our authors out there, and everybody look for them. They're going to have a big author tag on, and you can talk to them about their works. But for now, I want to just say to everyone, thank you so much for being a part of this event. It means a great deal to me for you to come to New Orleans if you're not from here, and for those who are here to be a part of this event. I hope that everyone will come out, buy books. That's what you're there for, to buy books, not to negotiate the cost of them, everybody, but to buy them and take pictures and share it and let people know, because as writers, we need our readers, right? We cannot move our ideas and what we're doing forward if we don't have readers and a fan base to help us. So let's continue to write, everyone. And thank you so much for being a part of this event. And very quickly, I want everyone to give us how to get your book. I need to know your book name and your website or the site that you're on. And also, everybody, for everyone on this screen, I hope that you are putting your books on directtoauthor.com, because that is another way for people to buy your books if it's not there already. So let's just go around round robin. Let's start with you, Michelle. Give us your website and how people can buy your book very quickly.
My website is www.bmrbookcase.com. I have multiple books on there you can purchase, and as well as the mugs that you can purchase as well. And I'm at Black Moms Reality Bookcase, _B.C on Instagram. I look forward to seeing you guys.
Excellent. I'm going to be sure to try to put as much of this information also in the post. Coach Ty?
Yes, I'm on Amazon. I'm also on, actually, all of the books are on Amazon. You can find On the Battlefield of Love, War Wounds. You can also find my Leadership Rules, Roles, and Goals. You can also find my professional development and training guide as well. And you can also go to my website, which is www.steps2connect.org, or you can look for me at www.toughtalktoday.com. So all of those platforms, you are able to purchase my book.
Excellent. Bernard?
Thank you again for hosting this and having us. My book is available on sale at bernardthebarber.com. It's spelled Barnard, like Barber, BernardTheBarber.com. It's also available worldwide and Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's even in Waterstones in the UK. I've found that out because I'm part of a book club in the UK. And so it's just a humbling experience when I started writing from, just to be embraced like that and to win awards. I know you was nominated for an award too, Author Michelle Jackson. Congratulations on your children's book. But you can get it at BernardTheBarber.com is the best way for me, or direct to authors.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Casey?
Yes, it's your time. It's on my website, my company website, brandproagency.com, and pro is spelled Preaux. And so it's brandproagency.com /my-book. And thank you so much, Michelle, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Author Ty?
My journal can be found at Time with Ty, TIMEWITHTY.com. The Alphabet of You has its own website, thealphabetofyou.com.
Excellent. Thank you all for being a part of this interview, and I look forward to meeting you very soon. I am going to, I'm not going to take you off the screen, but what I am going to do is stop the recording at this point, so that we can all so I can give a formal farewell. So thank you guys so much for being a part of it.